Hello Simmers, welcome to my channel Simsational Builds. My name is Deb and thanks for joining me today for part 2 of my platforms tutorial. After going through the basics in part 1, here I'll be walking you through some more advanced and unique ways that you can use the new platform tool. This video also goes through a whole lot of troubleshooting because while I was filming, everything that could have gone wrong did. So you'll see some workarounds if things aren't going the way that they should for you as well. So let's go straight into it. Now we head outside and I do have this beautiful pool here that I've created steps just using the slabs that come with the spa day pack just to create that look. They're not functional of course, but your sim can still swim through them, no problem. But what I want to create is a poolside bar. Now again, it won't be fully functional, but I think it will look really cool and it will really suit the aesthetic of this particular build. Now when we're creating platforms, now I want to sink this one down obviously, and if you're creating something next to a pool or a fountain, you'll notice that you won't be able to sink them next to one another. So you would need to create a one tile gap between them to sink it properly. Now there is a way around it and I'll show you that with my next tip. But for now, we'll just stick with this one here. Now, as I said before, this platform tool can be really finicky. And sometimes, just like right now when I'm trying to do this tutorial, what was working perfectly fine a moment ago isn't working fine anymore. So now when I'm placing this one here, it is telling me that I can no longer raise or lower it, that it's conflicting with something below. However, I don't actually have anything that's touching it whatsoever below. So the way to get around that, if this ever happens to you, is simply to move it somewhere where it's completely unrelated to anything. And here all of a sudden it'll work again. So I'm going to lower this as many times as I need to over here. Basically, I want to lower it to the level of a couch or the bar, which I think will be at about this level here. And then just by using the move tool, you can shift it to where you actually need it to go and it will work perfectly fine. So again, my Sims need a way to get into it. And I could just put a set of stairs, but that's a bit boring. So what I'm going to do is create a platform here, which hopefully will let me raise it up one. And like I said before, you don't need a full tile. So what I'm going to do is use this triangle platform tool. Now I'm just going to put it off to the side here and just make it smaller so it's only that half tile size. And just by moving it, I'm going to pop it there. Now, once again, this is decided it's not going to work for me when I actually doing this tutorial. So I'm just going to, once again, create what I'm trying to do here on the side. So I'm just trying to create this step shape. And I'm going to move these to where I need them. So here we have our sunken lounge area. Now, this should have been a whole lot more straightforward, and when I first did it without everything else, it went really smoothly. So I'm not sure why it was mucking around now, but as you saw, I had to fast forward that, but there are some workarounds to still get the effect that you require. And that just means starting to create the shapes elsewhere on the side and then moving them across as you need to, and then seeing if they'll eventually rise or lower on their own there. So I have my sunken pit here, and I'll just quickly furnish it and change the flooring, etc. So we have our sunken lounge here. Now to create the actual bar area, find yourself a bar, anyone that you like. I quite like the one that came with Get Together here. That sort of looks a little bit more outdoorish, and that will quite nicely with move objects on, clip in there, and looks like it's part of the actual floor itself. Now, again, no one can access this side of it. They won't be able to sit at the bar or anything like that, but they can still make drinks in front of it here. But I want it still to look really good. I still want them to be able to at least have the effect of them sitting there, even if they won't actually be able to use it. So in order to do that, all you need to do is get a bar. Any one will do. You can use the cheapest one if you want. Put it to the side. Get yourself some bar stools, whichever one will suit what you're trying to do. Using your square bracket key, you're going to minimize it as small as it will go. So you've just got your chairs here. And if you just go down into your lower level, I've got them there. I'm going to raise them up here till they are just underneath the water. And it has that effect that they can sit there at the edge, but there still isn't a edge per se or a bar for them to sit on. And all I'm going to do with that is to get a side table, size it up by 1, And then when it's within the pool itself, raise it up until it's at the correct level. Now that one is actually in the fitness stuff pack, all natural slab. And again, I just like the black and white effect of it. And there it is underwater there. So again, it's not actually functional. Your Sims can't actually sit in those chairs, but for the effect it has, I think that looks pretty damn good. But you know what? I still think we can go one better. I still think we can make it look a little bit cooler. And the way that I'm going to do that is to create a custom fireplace or a custom fire pit, an open one, which is going to sit right here behind this couch there. And for that seating area to be able to overlook that and this beautiful desert view. Now to do this, you will need to have the Get Famous pack, because I'm going to use an item from there that doesn't have anything else similar within the game as yet. And that item is a lamp, a floor lamp here at the very bottom. It's this one here, the Medieval Brazier floor lamp. And what you'll find is when that one is put down and we go into live mode or live mode, that a flame will come to the top of it. And when you size this down, that flame remains. Now, again, that's not going to help me much here. So what I want to do, I'll just delete that one for now. I need to put it underground. So what I'm going to do is create my platform and raise it up however high I want it to be. And I actually want to have a border around it as well. So what you can do with your platforms is you can actually put a half wall all the way around it. And now what you will find is if you try and enclose this, just ignoring that all my furniture is going to disappear for a second there, what tends to happen is it tends to delete a platform. Usually it's the one inside of it, but because I've got it connected here, it's deleted that one there. So the way to get around it is just to create your wall on the side, and using your move tool, just move it to where you need to go. And instantly you've got that edging there. And again, using a edging here, you can use any one of those, but I like this one that has, again, from the Get Famous pack, the glass plane trim in black all the way around, and we have a edging for our fireplace. So to create the actual fire within it, like I said, we're going to use those floor lamps, and to use them we have to put them underground so that only the fire actually peaks up above this. So to do that, you're going to head back in here and get your basement tool. Now this isn't going to allow us to put a basement underneath here, because now we've got conflicting block clusters or different height blocks. So if you however put it next to it, it will let you create a basement underneath it, and that's just going to create our guide as to where we need to put our lamps. So heading down here, our fireplace was right there. So getting those lamps again, because this is quite a big area, I'm going to use about 5. You could even use 6 if you wanted to, and pop them there. Now you're going to have to go back into live mode to get that flame to appear, and you do need that because otherwise you're going to be going in blind. So just pressing play, letting the fire appear, pause again, back into build, and there we've got our flames. So what you just need to do then, like I said before, is just minimize it using the square bracket, raise it up using your 9 key, and this is going to take a little bit of trial and error, but I'm going to start there. And then if you head up, you'll then see that your flame is beautifully sitting on top of what we have as the pebbles here. You can put anything there. You can use some wood from debug to create that actual, like a pile of wood that it can burn on. Or anything like that, but because this is such a modern mansion, I think the look of it burning on the pebbles as if it was a gas fire or something like that will suit it really well. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing with all my other lamps here. And one thing that I'm going to make sure to do is that I'm going to place them close next to one another, but not on top of one another, so that it looks like fire itself. And there we have it. They're lined up there nicely. Up the top it looks good. They're in the center of my fireplace, and it looks like one big flame and not like 5 separate flames as well. And then when I head back into live mode, just so you can see how it looks, there we have it. If you ever want to turn it out, just turn it out like a candle, get your sim to extinguish it, and it can turn itself off. But otherwise it burns all the time. It will never catch on fire because it's not like a fireplace. It doesn't have the benefits that a fireplace has though. If it gets really cold, for example, they don't get that cozy moodlet or anything like that. But even so, I think it looks pretty good. So that's a start. I think it's pretty good, but I think we can you know, add another hot tub because our land grabs are so extra. Let's create a sunken hot tub here using our platform tool. Now again, we just went through the fact that we can't actually lower in platform when it's next to a pool because of conflicting block clusters. So how do we get around that without having to have an entire space all the way around? Well, I shall tell you. And it's pretty similar to what we just did with the fireplace. What you need to do is create a basement. Now the hot tubs are 3x3, but I need you to create a 4x3 square here. Just heading down, selecting it, back up, and I want to remove the ceiling there. Heading back down, now we select it and I can raise it up. I'm going to raise it until it is approximately the depth of our hot tub. So technically we're in the basement level, but when we grab our hot tub, it sits pretty perfectly there within our pool itself. Now, for the Sims to actually get within it, we can't have it being flush with the ground because they won't be able to actually enter into the hot tub itself. So easiest way to do this and using up the least amount of space is to just get a set of stairs. Now it doesn't really matter which stairs you use, so we're not cooperating with me today. Sometimes and usually you would be able to actually put a set of stairs in here. Because it's not going to work for me today, I'm just going to open this up by one, find my set of stairs and pop them in like so. Now as I said before, all you need is this one little gap here for your Sims to be able to enter and exit that pool without any problems. And once more, you can paint the side here to blend in with everything. You can even add a little fence on that side if you wanted to work as well. But again, that's the least obstructive way to create your sunken hot tub, and it's fully functional as well. So I think our pool area is finally finished. So let's move on to this little pergola that I have here. So I'm going to do two things in this pergola, the two last things that I have for us today. I'm going to create a custom fountain or a custom waterfall that's going to sit here, as well as a custom table, both using the platform tool. So to create our fountain itself, the fountain is going to be 2x1 here. Sorry, the actual raised platform will be 2x1 here, and there'll be a little fountain as in the water, another 2x1 right next to it. But before I do that, I need to create the fountain, the waterfall itself. So to do so, I am going to actually use, where is it? In the pool section here for the pool accessories, if you have Get Together, you need this. It's called Mr. Jumpy Jump, and it's used on the side of a pool as a platform, a diving board of sorts. Sorry, I've had to delete the fountain for it because it kept snapping to it. But when you place these diving boards, they actually have a small fountain in front of it. And that is actually a little waterfall. And when you minimize the block itself, the waterfall stays where it is. So just heading back into live mode to demonstrate. As you can see, the water is free flowing here. So that's a really amazing tool. You can do so much with that. And I'm going to credit that completely to Sims Paradise 94, and I'll put her link below. That's her Instagram tag there. Now, she was the one that I personally originally saw do it, so I'm quite happy to give her the credit where it's due there. She was the first one to have realized that this actually has a little waterfall on it and the things that you can do with it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use about 5 of them again and put them overlapping one another so that those waterfalls are one continuous waterfall. You don't necessarily have to go into live mode each time. Whenever you place it, you'll get the 2 edges there. So as long as those edges are very slightly overlapped, you'll still get the right look. I'm just going to make sure they're roughly in a line. Now I might need to fiddle with that in a second, because what I'm going to do is get my platform and build it right over the top of it. And once more, it's not letting me do it, so I'm just going to undo that and build my platform on the side and raise it up. This one here is about 10 odd clicks, but I will adjust that if I need to. And all that you want to make sure is that the water is in fact going in front of it, as so. And it looks like that one continuous waterfall, and it's even, so there's an even gap on either side. Now to finish it off, get your fountain, draw a fountain in front of it, and I like to use this This one here from the Dine Out pack. Unfulfilled wall sign here. And because I want everything in that dark color, minimize it by one click. Raise it up using a 9 key just to about, wherever it looks best to you. So it looks like the fountain is coming out from underneath it. And I'm just going to quickly change all the coloring so that it suits what I want as well. And here we have our modern waterfall water feature. I think that looks really, really cool. Nothing like what we have already within the Sims or within the packs. And still has that really cool effect. Last but not least, I'm going to create a custom table here for you. And this one is by far the most complex, but I think it looks really, really cool. So what we're going to do is I'm going to create it on the side here, the actual platforms, to move them across, because I know I'm already having issues with this particular lot. It's just not playing ball with me today. So thing with this particular coffee table is that it's going to be on the diagonal. I'm going to be using these triangles here and making them smaller so I again have a half tile triangle here. And what you're going to do is raise it up so that it is at the same height as a coffee table is. So it doesn't really matter because they're all roughly the same height. But as you can see there, that one's there, exactly the right height there. So that's what I'm looking for. And I'm going to need 2. So you take one, pull it over, and you're going to put them point to point so that it looks exactly like so. Now this would be a square coffee table. Again, like I say, it will be on the diagonal. So what you're going to need to do next is get your half wall, and you're going to want to get the wall that is the second one across, and that is the exact same height as the coffee table is and what you've already done. Now, again, if we close this up, what it's going to do is work this time. But sometimes if you close it up, it will actually delete your platforms as well. So again, if you do the 3 walls, and then if you need to do the last wall and just move it across to get that final side to it, that will work as well. But since we're actually working for me at the moment, we're just going to use it as is. So again, what I'm going to do is now change all of the finishes on everything. So on the top of the coffee table, I want marble, which came with my Get Famous pack. On the trim, I want white stone. On the walls, there is, in the miscellaneous section, this one here, clinical panels that came with Get to Work, and it just frames it really nicely on the inside as well. And most importantly, I need to change the edges of the actual platform itself. And the one I want to use is this one here, the Painted Perfection, because that one is probably the finest one. I'm going to use that one in white. And what you can see is that here you can see how it's poking out the side, and as soon as I use that one, that goes away. So that's the start of our coffee table here. Now going back into the actual coffee table section, you can have a play around, see what works best for you, but I've personally found this one here, the Benefa coffee table, which is a base game one, works the best in this greeny coloured swatch. Now, you're not going to be able to put it over on the diagonal. If you try and do that, it will just sit on top. But if you put it straight, that is north-south versus on the diagonal, which is the other one, it'll actually go to the same level. I hope that makes sense. So you can see there how it sort of blends into the right level. And because it's got those curved edges, it doesn't poke out at the sides. I'm going to put the other one there. And there we have a really cool modern coffee table with the glass as well. And if you want to pimp it up a little bit more, you can do one or two things. You can actually create sort of a mini terrarium. I really like this Hawaiian-like grass, and you have to use a triangle one like that one there, but there's also you can use any of the flower ones as well if you like. That came with base game. And as you go there, it will actually nicely slot itself there. And using the 9 key, you can raise it up until before it actually pokes out of the top. And using the Alt key, you can actually adjust it so that it doesn't poke out the side either. And you can place it in there nicely. And you've got a little bit of a terrarium going on there. Now, if that still isn't quite enough for you and you need to make it even more extra, back into your coffee tables. If you have My First Pet stuff, which, not that many of us do, but if you were one of those people like myself who succumbed to getting it, there is this one really cool item, which is a fish coffee table, an aquarium coffee table. I swear this is probably my favorite item out of the whole pack. It's so bizarre. I love it. And what you'll notice with it is that if you minimize it, again using that square bracket, the fish and all the seaweed and corals and stuff stay where they are and they'll continue swimming around. And that coincidentally fits beautifully into my space here. They will go in and out of view because of course they'll go underneath this section here. You can see one poking out there. And again, if I go into live mode, you can see them swimming around inside the table itself. And you can get rid of the grasses or whatever you have inside there if you wish. But there you have it, guys, something that's a little bit different. I hope you guys have learned something today. I hope you guys have picked up on a couple of tips and tricks that might help you in your own builds. Something that hopefully you haven't seen before as well, because I know that everyone's been playing around with these platforms for a while now and, you know, have come up with some amazing ideas. And there's a bunch that I haven't actually said anything about. People have come up with spiral staircases. People have come up with bunk beds. All sorts of things like that. So there are a bunch of other things out there that I haven't even touched upon just because I feel like it wasn't my idea to share. But, you know, there's plenty of other tutorials out there on YouTube as well. Of other people that have, you know, played around with platforms. But these are just my ideas, just my little, you know, tips, tricks, things that I've learned along the way. I apologize. I did have some problems with this silly tool while I was trying to even teach you guys, but it just shows that it doesn't always work perfectly. But there are ways around it. There are ways to make it work, even if it's not doing what you want it to. But I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial today. I hope you've had some fun. I know I have. And I hope to see you all here again soon. Thanks so much, everyone.